Hey guys, and welcome to Wrestling Days. So I was massively inspired by talk that was on the Wrestling Days Twitter account, and there's a lot of people asking about Roadblock that's coming up, and if that main event is better than the Wrestlemania main event. Could they change the plans? There seems to be a real appetite from people that Ambrose gets added to the WrestleMania main event. And I do think that could happen. I think that the crowd responses have clearly sent a message. You know, it's been reported all over the internet that when Roman Reigns got beat down by Triple H, the crowd were largely cheering him on. Very next week when it's happening to Dean Ambrose, the crowd are right behind Dean Ambrose. There's no way they're going to pull back on Roman Reigns, right? Whatever happens with Roman Reigns, it is going to be full steam ahead. So they're not going to stop with Reigns, but there's nothing stopping Ambrose being added to the main event of WrestleMania, and that brings me nicely to Roadblock. Now, it's an awful name, right? I understand what they're trying to do. You've got Fastlane, you know, very quickly then you're on to WrestleMania. Well, they've put a roadblock in. Basically, it's a network special. It was known as the March to WrestleMania. March because that's the month that it's being held in. There is no pay-per-view this month, so what they've done is they've done like a bit of a network special. Looking at it all though, it seems to be building into a bigger and bigger kind of deal. If you think about last year's Beast in the East, there was no title match on that. If you think as well to the live from Madison Square Garden, I've got to be honest, that was largely forgettable. I struggle to remember many matches on that live from Madison Square Garden. The build on that was Lesnar Big Show, obviously Lesnar winning. So this kind of feels like it's the biggest network special they've done so far. It feels like it's starting to stray into actual pay-per-view territories. The reason I say that is because they've given so much time of Raw over to it. I mean, you'd think that Raw at the moment should be building WrestleMania, should be there to build those feuds. This roadblock, I've got to be honest, is kind of in the way, like a roadblock should be. But it's a little bit of an inconvenience for me because I just think there are stories there that need to develop and need to grow. A prime example is one of the matches advertised for Roadblock that's not been announced yet is Brock Lesnar against Luke Harper. Now, are they going to give Raw time over to that? Are we going to see Lesnar and the Wyatts have a little bit of a, mini feud before he gets his hands on Ambrose at WrestleMania? That would seem ridiculous to me, because surely this should be full on Lesnar Ambrose, really beat downs, getting personal, surprise attacks, cutting promos, anything that's going to make that interesting. You don't want to be putting another mini feud in the way. So it's either going to be a case that they're going to give over Raw time, or it'll be a case that it'll just be completely out of the blue. It won't have had any build whatsoever. Very similar to the Beast in the East. If you remember back to Beast in the East, it was Brock Lesnar against Kofi Kingston, and there was no build on that whatsoever. It was I seem to remember when it came out and it was announced who Lesnar was going to be up against. Just like, how are they going to do this? Well, how they did it was they just got both of them in the ring and they had a match. The story that is selling Roadblock is obviously Triple H against Dean Ambrose. Now, this is interesting. There is obviously history there between these guys, dating all the way back to Shield and Evolution times. So there's a real history there. It's actually a better main event than WrestleMania for me. I think the crowd really want to see Ambrose get his hands on the title. But there's really, in my eyes, only one good positive outcome from this match, and that is going to be, believe it or not, an Ambrose win by a DQ or count out. And the reason I say that is because surely one of the best WrestleMania moments yet to happen is Ambrose winning the title. You know, if you look at all the baby faces at the moment, there's not a baby face as over as Ambrose. He is the main baby face. Lesnar, he's not really a face or a heel. I know he's massively over, and you know he brings a real credibility to it, but you can't really say he's a baby face. Undertaker, after doing Vince's dirty work, are we to believe he's a baby face? You know, I mean, he was delivering low blows to Lesnar in their feud recently, so I don't know. Plus, he's a part-timer as well, so if you look at the roster and you look at the baby faces and you look at those that perform on a regular basis, there is no bigger baby face right now than Dean Ambrose. He is, you know, a couple of years away of strong booking from Daniel Bryan levels, because he's the underdog. He is the flower that has blossomed in Roman's shadow. You know, Roman's cast a massive shadow, you know, for the past 12 months, and as a result, Dean's been an afterthought, or at least has appeared to have been an afterthought. And so because he's not been getting that real, you know, aggressive push, he's just been allowed to grow and grow and grow, and now he's a real firm fan favourite. Ambrose should not be winning the title at Roadblock, right? Because that means that you're throwing away a WrestleMania moment. It also means that you're putting the belt on Ambrose, and so he'll be going into WrestleMania defending that title against Lesnar. And also it means that you take the title away from, you know, the Triple H Roman Reigns feud, which actually I'm all right with, but there's a lot of Roman Reigns fans out there, believe it or not, that you know, would be as disappointed as we are disappointed that Ambrose isn't the champion. So WWE can't win. You know, they've booked themselves into a bit of a corner with this one. I think Triple H wins. I think he cheats or does whatever. I think that Ambrose keeps face, and I don't see him winning this match. I think this is nothing more than a network special, just to grow interest in the brand before it hits this massive WrestleMania. Unfortunately to say, they could swerve us, and I do think the universe could have a say. I think if the universe over these next couple of weeks are vocal enough, then it might force WWE to do something. It could be, you see, and the reason that I say the best outcome would be Ambrose winning by DQ or count out is that would then give him an argument that he should be competing for the title. And so it could be that Triple H turns around and says, that's absolutely fine, you can compete for the title, you just need to survive Brock Lesnar. Massive beatdown. They could even say to that match, right, well, I tell you what, whoever wins Lesnar Ambrose gets to go into the main event. Now, again, I've said this in previous videos, I know it's very WrestleMania 30, but it worked, and I'd love to see it happen again. I know the consensus out there, right, is that there's a real groundswell of support for a fatal four-way, and I love the idea. You know, Roman in one corner, Triple H in another, Ambrose in another, Lesnar in another. That's a wicked idea. But how do you book it? How do you book that? How do you get there? Are you going to put the belt on Ambrose at Roadblock, which means he then goes into that match having to defend? That's not as great a moment as him winning it. So I wouldn't go that way. So, with that being said, do you keep the title on Triple H then? Okay, well, if you keep the title on Triple H, on what grounds can Ambrose, you know, demand to be in the main event? He's already had his shot and he lost it. He's, you know, that's it. Your moment's been and gone, Dean. So, in that sense, Triple H can't win. in no scenario do I see how Lesnar can get involved other than winner of Ambrose Lesnar goes through to the final. Winner of Ambrose Lesnar goes through to the final, and the match, the street fight, ends in a draw. How about that? There's your fatal four-way. So at Roadblock, you have Ambrose winning by disqualification, or count out, or one of those means, so the title doesn't change hands. On the next Raw, they turn around to Ambrose and say that he can have a title match, but he has to beat Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then the match at WrestleMania is a draw, and then that means that you get your fatal four-way later in the night. That is how to book the fatal four-way, and I am fully on board with that. I think that would be amazing. That means you get Lesnar twice, you get Ambrose twice, you get an even bigger main event. You've got the chance of Ambrose walking out with the title. The Roman Reigns fans, you know, have still got a chance of seeing Roman walk away with the belt. You're still going to get a WrestleMania moment, whatever happens. Yeah, I'm into that. So that is how I would book this then. You know, with the help of a lot of you that watch these videos, that wasn't my idea with the fatal four-way, but I'd go with it, and that's how I'd book it. Okay, so other things that we know about it is that it's on the 12th of March. We know that it's going to be 2 to 2.5 hours long, and it's on the network. There is a house show that night as well in New Jersey, so you're not going to have a full card. Charlotte, well, as it stands, is not at Roadblock, so there will not be a Divas match. But I can tell you that of the matches that I've seen rumoured, there's Triple H going up against Dean Ambrose that we spoke at length about. Roman Reigns will be there. He'll be facing Sheamus. Also, there's Lesnar going up against Luke Harper. Again, we've touched on that slightly. Other names mentioned: New Day. Chris Jericho's doing a highlight reel. Paige is there. Natalya is there. I think AJ Styles is there, but I think that's a little bit up in the air. Miz, the Usos, Brie Bella. Those are the names that I've seen mentioned. So not sure what the card's going to look like. You know, 2 to 2.5 hours, and I'm thinking that's going to be 6 matches. So certainly a few more matches to be added to it. I think they will promote it. I just hope that this doesn't eat up all the Raw time, because they really need to develop these storylines, which is crazy because Raw just gone had 3 separate authority promos and didn't develop the storyline at all. The only thing we know is that Undertaker's willing to do the match for Vince. It's really disappointing. Don't want to dwell on Raw anyway. So that's Roadblock. We'll see what else they've got in store for it as it continues to build. But I'd love to know how you would book this. The main event of Roadblock might have no impact on WrestleMania whatsoever. Alternatively, could completely change the landscape. We'll have to see what Roadblock has got in store. And I really hate that title as well. I need to go on record to say that a Roadblock is annoying. It's inconvenient, and that is exactly how I feel about this network special at the moment anyway, because it is taking precious time away, precious Raw time away from the WrestleMania build. Only the biggest WrestleMania of all time, but don't matter. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. You know that I do. And you can follow me on Twitter. That is at Wrestling Days UK. I'll try and get more videos for you as and when I can. And watch out for the Roadblock.